lied. She lied a lot about a lot of things. Well, she lied about a lot of things. She's now lying about jobs, and she's lying that she's going to be the agent of change. She's not going to change. She's been there for 30 years. You look at this place. I mean, honestly, I fly over these cities, and I land, and I see these factories. I fly over them, and I see them, and one after another. Sean, it's so depressing when you go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, when you go to different places in Ohio, when you go to upstate New York, and anywhere you go. I mean, it's like we're a war zone. These are factories that you could see 20, 25 years ago were vibrant, and now those companies have all moved out of our country.
Well, let me ask you about that.
In Mexico and other places.
Because we have
and
new
she's lying about that. She's not going to do anything about it.
Well, we now have the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years now in America, the worst recovery now since the 1940s, the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s. We have 1.2% growth, and this president has accumulated more debt than every other president before him combined. And she says she's going to continue this?
She's going to be another 4 years of Obama, in my opinion, worse. And remember the Supreme Court justices. She will appoint justices that will make our country Venezuela. It'll be over. And, you know, as you know, I have 11 people that are going to be outstanding. They've been just received rave reviews. And I think it's one of the most important things. Defense is always like the most important thing, right? But beyond that, because our military is totally depleted. I mean, we have to rebuild our military. We have to do a lot of things, Sean. We're way, way behind. And we also have to do our infrastructure. You drive on some of these highways, you hit potholes every 250 yards. I mean, what's going on in this country is incredible. We're spending trillions and trillions of dollars, and we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're spending it. And it's got to stop. So we have to rebuild our country. We have to get jobs. We're going to bring our jobs back from all of these countries that have taken our jobs. Believe me, they're going to come back. We're going to lower taxes. Hillary's going to raise taxes substantially. I'm lowering taxes. Right now, we're the highest taxed nation in the world. We're going to lower taxes under my plan. And Larry Kudlow and so many others love it. Well, we're going to lower taxes very, very substantially.
The repatriated money, which is trillions, that, and I think becoming energy independent alone would create millions of jobs. Let me ask you this. I want to ask you about last week.
$2.5 trillion.
I want to ask you last week about the DNC. I watched Hillary's speech, and I know you had millions more actually watching when you compare Thursday to Thursday, but I kind of viewed it as a checklist, sort of cliches and platitudes and slogans, not a lot of specifics, you know, and a lot of things happen there. When I have uniformed police officers not on the floor of the convention, you have General John Allen interrupted, chanting "No more war" when he said that America would defeat ISIS. The audience interrupted a Medal of Honor recipient, and also the embracing of Black Lives Matter, and that organization, a group that had chanted, "What do we want, dead cops? What do we want now?" Hillary's seeking counsel from them. Your reaction to some of those events?
Well, I thought it was terrible. And they didn't show when Bernie Sanders people all walked out of the arena. They didn't show that. You know, it's like if that happened with the Republicans, it would have been a national scandal. But Bernie Sanders, and when they showed Bernie Sanders while she was speaking, it looked like the guy was very, very angry and tired. And he wants to go home. I mean, he just wants to go home. You know, Bernie Sanders really hurt his legacy. If he would have not made a deal, his legacy would have been amazing. I have so many people, they call me that, you know, they like Bernie. And honestly, they are so disappointed. You just take a look at the numbers. They were so disappointed with what he did. And they're not going to get for Hillary Clinton. We're going to get a lot more Bernie Sanders people than anybody would believe. Because on trade, we agree. Now, I'm going to do something about it and make great deals. But on trade, he understands that this country is getting ripped off. Our jobs are being taken away. That's an important thing.
Final question. I just gave you all the economic evidence. 51-year low home ownership rate, really bad economic statistics. Some observers said, well, your convention, you were being dark, and she was given her checklist. And I'm wondering, okay, they can't say radical Islam. They're not talking about the real state of the economy with the worst statistics, worst debt we've ever accumulated. They don't have a real plan to deal with open borders, the impact on security and on job creation, or crime, or any of these other issues. And when you compare the two conventions, how do you analyze it?
Well, I think my speech was very optimistic. I talk about the problems, whether it's police being shot like never before at record numbers. It's horrible when you look at it. I never realized how dangerous that job is. I love the police, and I love law and order. They don't talk about law and order. I mean, they didn't even have an American flag up on the dais, and it was 2 days, and then we started complaining, and all of a sudden they put American flags up there. I think we had a great convention. I think the Republicans did a terrific job. As you know, millions more watched the final night, my speech, than their night. I just think we had a great convention.
Last question.
You know, you hear all these platitudes. It's ridiculous for the other one. Go ahead.
You said in a speech today you're afraid this election is going to be rigged. Explain.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing about it for a long time, and I know last time you had precincts where there were practically nobody voting for the Republican, and I think that's wrong. I think that was unfair, frankly, to Mitt Romney. You had areas where a lot of people were curious, how is that possible? And I've been hearing about it for a long time, and I just hope that I hope the Republicans get out there and watch very closely, because I think we're going to win this election. But if it's rigged, like anything else, look, it was rigged, I thought, a little bit for me, and we won in landslides. I think it was rigged against Bernie Sanders with his super delegates nonsense.
Absolutely. Well, we know it was rigged now. We have the emails.
And I'm telling you, November 8th, we better be careful, because that election's going to be rigged. And I hope the Republicans are watching closely, or it's going to be taken away from us.
All right, Mr. Trump, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. All right, and coming up, Peter Schweitzer. He's out with a shocking new report about Clinton corruption. It exposes a deal that Hillary cut with the Russians that could be putting America's national security at risk, and allegedly led to millions of dollars flowing into the Clinton coffers and their foundation. Schweitzer is here next to explain. Plus, later tonight, Flynn is here. That and more as we continue. Welcome back to Hannity. Clinton cash author Peter Schweitzer is out with a damning new report that shows during Hillary Clinton's time as Secretary of State, well, she helped create a technology partnership with Russia that could have put America's national security at risk. Now, Schweitzer explains some of his findings in a Wall Street Journal article saying, quote, Clinton's handling of major technology transfer initiative at the heart of Washington's effort to reset relations with Russia raises serious questions about her record. Now, far from enhancing American national interest, Mrs. Clinton's efforts in this area may have substantially undermined U.S. national security. Now, the report also finds that over a dozen companies involved in this deal with Russia donated money to the Clinton Foundation or sponsored speeches given by Bill Clinton. Now, we did reach out to Hillary Clinton's campaign, her campaign chairman, John Podesta, and the Clinton Foundation for comment, but they have yet to respond. Anyway, joining us now with more is the author of the New York Times bestseller, Clinton Cash. It's now out in paperback, also in a movie, Peter Schweitzer. All right, I read this all very, very carefully here. Let's go through this slowly, because it gets complicated, as they always do. So, sure. Hillary Clinton is the Secretary of State. She has a Russian reset initiative, correct? And in the course of that, she is appealing to Silicon Valley that they work with Russia in terms of a transfer of technology that is dual technology. In other words, technology that can be used for some purposes, but also military purposes. Correct? Am I right on this so far?
Yes, that's right, Sean.
All right, pick it up from there. Explain where it goes from there.
Well, the theory behind this is that we provide technology and have this initiative with the Kremlin, and it's going to strengthen the relationships between the United States and Russia. It's kind of like during the Cold War, the theory behind détente. The problem is that the 28 American companies who participate in this initiative, of those, 17 of them are major Clinton Foundation donors. And on the Russian side, the person that's running this Skolkovo initiative and some of the participants are also giving money to the Clinton Foundation. So it's an example of sort of a crony relationship, or the people that are participating have financial ties to the Clintons.
So she's orchestrating this transfer of technology, supposedly not for military purposes, but they're dual. In other words, they can be used for military purposes. 17 of the 28 people in Silicon Valley are Clinton Foundation donors, and then you got these Russian oligarchs. How many of them donated to the Clinton Foundation?
Well, there's 4 or 5 that we can identify, including Viktor Vekselberg, who is close to Putin and is running this Skolkovo initiative. He's a Clinton Foundation donor, as is a gentleman who's running the nuclear cluster at Skolkovo, is a Clinton Foundation donor as well.
All right, how many of these Skolkovo donors also brought Bill Clinton in and paid him money for speeches, and how much was he being paid?
Lots of them were. Cisco, for example, not only pays Bill Clinton for speeches. When Hillary Clinton leaves as Secretary